Before the sun rises, Florence is already awake with judgment. Mist drifts around the domes, hiding the city like a silent confession. In the empty square, a gallows stands alone. A bell tolls, not for prayer but for fate. Fire cuts through the fog as torches burn wild in the wind, sparks scattering like lost souls. The trapdoor opens. We do not see the body fall, only the sound, heavy and final. Luca stands frozen. Fear grips him, yet he cannot turn away. Fire trembles in his eyes. The crowd lowers its head, and silence fills the square, broken only by the rope swaying in the wind. Gold leaf is pressed onto sacred paint, shimmering, moving just like the rope before. A master painter steps back, pleased nobles smiling behind him. Blood slips into the gutter as sunlight touches it, red becoming gold. Florence rises in glory, bright and overwhelming, and Luca stands between two worlds, a statue rising and a body being covered. Was this glory or illusion? Inside the workshop, warm sunlight pours through tall windows as apprentices grind pigments into fine powder, their hands stained with color and sweat. Rare blue spills across the table, and someone rushes to gather every grain, knowing it is worth more than silver and nearly as precious as gold. The Medici family enters, and the entire room bends at once, heads lowered in silent obedience. A heavy purse is placed on the table, its dull thud louder than any spoken order. A brush slowly changes direction, and the painting begins to serve another will. Luca watches closely and understands that art is never free. The printing press roars nearby, pages flooding the city with new ideas, until one book is seized, marked, and forced into silence. Scholars debate in tense whispers, bold only until a priest passes by. Inside the church, angels glow beneath sacred light, while just beyond the doorway, a beggar curls against cold stone, unseen, unheard, and forgotten. Sacred music fills the church as marble angels glow beneath divine light, flawless and untouched by the world below. Hard cut outside, where a beggar curls against cold stone, shivering in the shadow of the same holy walls. A loaf of bread slips from careless hands, sinks into the mud, and is crushed beneath passing feet. Night falls, and the city celebrates. Laughter rises, wine overflows, and golden halls pulse with music. Servants kneel to wipe spilled wine with bare hands, eyes lowered, unseen by those who feast. The dance quickens, spinning faster, louder, drowning out thought. Luca lifts his gaze to a painted ceiling filled with heaven, saints, and eternal promise. The image fractures. Water drips through the roof of the workshop, striking straw and bare floor. Rain soaks the thin bed where apprentices sleep. At dawn, the master signs his name boldly across the finished painting, claiming the glory. Luca imitates the motion on a scrap of wood, hesitates, then rubs his name away, leaving no trace behind. A massive block of stone is dragged through the narrow streets, scraping against the ground like a giant being torn from sleep. Thick ropes bite into the shoulders of laborers as they pull in silence, step after step, breath after breath. Steel meets marble, and sparks explode outward like fleeting fireworks against the dust-filled air. Slowly, painfully, a form begins to emerge. David starts to breathe from the stone. The crowd gathers, voices hushed with awe and reverence. Nearby, a worker collapses from exhaustion. He is dragged aside without ceremony, and the work never stops. In hidden rooms, forbidden study unfolds. A blade touches human skin, not in cruelty, but in desperate hunger for truth. Luca watches, fear tightening his chest, yet curiosity holds him in place. Drawings of the human body appear, precise, flawless, and deeply unsettling. Every line reveals strength, weakness, and mortality. Candlelight flickers, then fades. Smoke curls upward as the flame dies, and the room sinks into silence, heavy with knowledge never meant to be seen. An invention is tested in secret, hidden from the eyes of the city. Wooden wings tremble violently as they are lifted into the air, joints creaking under impossible hope. A man runs, faster, faster, then leaps and disappears from the frame. We do not see him fall. We only hear the wind ripping past, then sudden silence. No one moves. No one speaks. The moment hangs unfinished, like a breath never released. In the shadows, a genius writes without pause, hands shaking as pages fill with frantic precision. Ink bleeds across parchment, spreading like blood beneath his fingers. Church bells erupt across Florence, sharp, urgent, and relentless. Soldiers surge through the streets, boots hammering stone, shouting orders that echo between walls. Doors slam shut. Workshops close in panic. Luca steps outside and looks across the city, seeing it clearly for the first time, not as a miracle, but as something fragile and breakable. In the distance, black smoke begins to rise, slow at first, then thicker, darker, curling into the sky and swallowing the horizon as Florence holds its breath, waiting to see what will burn next. A preacher's voice tears through the square, sharp and relentless, rising above the crowd like a blade. Words of salvation harden into commands. Faces twist with fear, devotion, and desperate hope. Some collapse in tears. Others shout in blind agreement. Mirrors are hurled into the flames, shattering reflections into fire and smoke. Paintings follow, their colors blistering and bubbling as they burn, sacred images screaming as they disappear. Luca clutches a fragile sketch to his chest and hides it beneath his coat, guarding it like a secret heartbeat. Fire fills his eyes, the same fire he once saw at the gallows. Stone saints watch from above, unmoving and eternal, their calm faces untouched by the chaos below. Night falls and the city glows red, streets lit by endless flames. Ash drifts through the air like black snow, settling on rooftops, skin, and memory. Then, without warning, a hard cut. Morning arrives. The light is soft, gentle, almost kind. The city appears peaceful, cleansed, pretending nothing happened. People return to the square. The gallows stands ready again. This time it waits for the preacher himself. The square fills once more, slowly, deliberately. Faces return, quieter now, heavier with memory and unease. The gallows stands in the same place, unchanged and patient, as if it never left, as if it belongs here. This time, it is not a criminal who climbs the wooden steps, but the preacher himself. The rope is placed around his neck. No cheers rise, no prayers are spoken, only silence spreads through the crowd, thick and suffocating. The trapdoor opens. Birds burst into the sky, wings beating wildly as they flee the sound below. No one looks away, yet no one dares to speak. Ash still lingers beneath the statue's feet, faintly warm against the cold stone. Gold on the church still gleams, radiant and untouched by what has burned beneath it. Blood is washed from the square, carried away by water, by time, by forgetting. Life resumes its rhythm. Shops reopen, voices return. Florence moves forward as if nothing truly ended, as if nothing was learned, as if fire, faith, and power are already choosing who will stand here next. Years pass, and Florence endures. Time reshapes faces, but the city remains. Luca is older now, his hands steadier, his eyes heavier with memory. He stands as a young painter, repeating the rituals of his former master, grinding pigments, mixing colors, following movements learned long ago. A client places a heavy purse on the table. The sound is familiar. Luca hesitates. He does not reach for it immediately. Instead, he turns towards the window. Outside, children laugh and play beneath the towering shadow of David, unaware of the stone's burden. Travelers sketch the great dome, capturing beauty without knowing its cost. Florence shines again, radiant, admired, almost flawless. But the camera lowers. Along the walls, the poor sleep where the light does not reach, wrapped in silence and dust. Luca opens a fragile sketch he once saved from the fire. Inside is an execution, frozen in ink. He begins to redraw it slowly, carefully, adding the crowd that watched, adding gold to the edges, adding shadow where truth hides and refuses to fade. He adds the crowd, layer by layer, faces without names, eyes that watched and chose to remain still. He adds gold, not to glorify the scene, but to expose its weight and its lie. He adds shadow, deep and deliberate, until light and darkness begin to bleed into one another. Luca stops. He steps back and studies the painting in silence. Something feels wrong. The gold shines too clean, too proud. He reaches out and smears it with his bare hand. Gold dissolves into dark red and brown, losing its purity, becoming something human. Outside, evening settles over Florence. The city glows softly beneath the setting sun, distant and beautiful, as if untouched by memory. Bells begin to ring, slow and familiar, echoing across stone and time. The camera rises, pulling away from rooftops, domes, and narrow streets where history repeats itself. Florence grows smaller beneath the fading light. The bells continue as the screen darkens. Every age calls itself golden, but gold is never born pure. It is shaped, tested, and forged in fire. Silence.